Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining today's stream. It is 30 of December, 12 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. And as always, I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments that Russian media public is paying attention to. And if you find this update informative and useful, please click that like button, leave some commentary, share your opinion on any of the topics that we will discuss during this stream. Of course, as you know, dear friends, you can use super chat feature on Rumble to send your question if you have one, and also to support my work. And you can use other support platforms for same purpose. Links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And as I said, there are quite a lot is happening, isn't it? And of course, I have to start this update with breaking news that was shared with the public by Foreign Minister of Russian Federation yesterday about strikes on residency of the Russian President Vladimir Putin, I believe in Novgorod region. And once this news broke, initially I was thinking, why is Foreign Minister of Russian Federation is sharing this news? But anyways, yesterday, after the statement of Sergei Lavrov, more and more officials start commenting on that. Defense Ministry at some point released a statement with some details. For example, it was day before yesterday, isn't it? 91 drone was intercepted by air defense systems on duty, if I remember number correctly. 41 of those were intercepted in Novgorod region, and from these 41, 19 were directed towards this residency of the Russian president. Big deal, obviously. And this strike, according to reports, happened either exactly these launches of these drones attack happened either when Trump was having a meeting with Zelensky in his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, or right after that meeting. And obviously, this attack on Russian president, this assassination attempt, basically, is a statement. Is a statement not just from Zelensky and this Western-backed terrorist regime in Kiev, but first and foremost, this is a statement of globalists and globalist control regimes in Europe and their allies in the US, right? And when it comes to globalists, by the way, main driving force there is, of course, British ruling class. We all know that. So this is a statement from London that they are not going to stop. They are all in this terror campaign against Russia. And based on statements from a number of Russian officials, by the way, there are going to be some consequences for this attack, this assassination attempt of the Russian president. Very big deal, obviously. But yes, that's where we are. I said for a reason, by the way, that none of us should have any expectations that we will see de-escalation in this crisis anytime soon. Western ruling class, globalists, their allies, neocons in the US, and others definitely are not there yet. They are not ready to face the objective reality, acknowledge that they lost this proxy war, right? And that means we will, for quite some time, we will see further and further escalations. It just seems absolutely inevitable. As I said, this is a statement from the globalists and their allies, and some strong response is definitely needed, and probably we will see some stronger response from Russian Federation. Also, we should keep in mind, dear friends, that because this attack on the Russian president happened during the meeting or straight after the meeting of Trump with Zelensky, this operation, this terrorist attack, basically, of the globalists, British ruling class, first of all, British Secret Services, MI6, namely, is definitely attack on Trump and Trump's administration too. Trump's inner circle, that may be, and America First movement in general, by the way, right? And we all understand U.S. President Trump, he's influenced obviously by these groups of special interests, globalists, neocons, others, right? But same time, in order not to lose completely support of U.S. public, conservative, traditionalist public, right? America First public. There is only certain level that U.S. can be in this proxy war, right? Especially under the current administration that came to power on the promises of no more wars, on the promises of America First, right? And the U.S. administration already failed big time their own supporters, and I don't think a globalist wishes that U.S. should stay in this proxy war and lead this proxy war and become even more hostile towards Russia can be fulfilled by Trump. He already risking too much, right? He and his administration, American ruling class, already risked too much. They lost tremendous support of their Republican conservative audience in public in U.S. because of the lack in terms of fulfilling the promises that was given to people during their election campaign. And if Trump's administration, by the way, acted as a administration in UK, by the way, or regime in France or Germany that are extremely hawkish against Russia, in that case, I guess Republican Party itself will be completely demolished, right? They're going to lose absolutely whatever support they have. And I don't think American ruling class is ready for such a sacrifice for globalists, right? Because it's a U.S. political system is at stake right now, right? So everything is connected. Everything is connected there, obviously. So this was definitely attack on Trump's administration, and U.S. political class itself. I will argue on that. And obviously, dear friends, none of us probably believes that the regime and their British masters and their MI6, for example, I don't think they pull off this attack on Russian president without informing CIA, Russia House, or whatever group in CIA definitely was involved in this attack on Russian president's residency, as it was case during the attacks on Russian nuclear triad. You remember there was an instance when attacks took place on airfields where strategical aviation is based. And of course, at that time too, it was not just British MI6, British intelligence and militaries, but also CIA that was involved in this attack. And that means, by the way, that if Trump's administration, if forces that are behind the Trump's team, behind the current administration, want to maintain relevance and stay in power, actually, they have to conduct some clearing operation inside their own ranks, because seems like Trump was surprised, isn't it? He was surprised with this attack. Probably he did not know, right? And that means CIA is not find itself to be obligatory to brief Trump about all these terrorist activities, all these criminal operations that they are conducting overseas, in this particular case against Russia. And in that case, by the way, CIA leadership has to be put in jail for life, right? Everybody who was involved from CIA has to be in jail for life or executed, by the way. right? Or executed straight away. They are traitors, so no one will cry about them. US definitely has big issue on its hands, right? Because there is a clearly hostile forces that are messing with internal politics of the US, right? CIA is an anti-American institution and has to be liquidated. Period. There is no other options there, right? If US wants to go forward and succeed, CIA has to be liquidated, because CIA seems like is a branch of MI6 nowadays, right? It's an absolutely rogue organization that needs to be dealt, for sure. Let's see how things develop, of course. But I will give you some chronology now in regards to this attack, in regards to number of statements that was made about it. And as I said, first was foreign minister of the Russian Federation that spoke about it. I saw this report on DD Geopolitics channel on Telegram. All the media outlets, of course, report about it. So Kiev launched drone attacks on Russian president's residency. Moscow to revise negotiating positions due to that, Lavrov said. So Kiev carried out drone attacks overnight on December 29th, targeting the Russian president's state residence in Novgorod region, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said. And this is very rare occasion, by the way, when about military stuff, foreign minister is talking about, right? This information came from foreign minister, which indicates that this is serious. This is serious developments, obviously. And you might ask question: was Russian president in that residency during the time of attack? Based on very strong reactions from Russian side, from worldwide, and there is condemnations of this attack, by the way, from many countries, from India and China to UAE and other Middle Eastern countries, and from all over the place, right? Even US president condemned this attack, right, in his own specific ways. And so based on these reactions, I can assume that probably Russian president was either there in that residency during this attack, or maybe Russian president was planning to visit this residency, right? Hard to know, and obviously this information will be classified, and I doubt that we will get actual information classified for security reasons, obviously. But if any update on that, of course, I will give you information. But I assume reaction of Russian side, reaction of Russian friends and allies worldwide indicates that maybe Russian president actually was there during this attack. So Russian air defense systems destroyed 91 drones at that night, and there were no casualties or damage, according to reports. Lavrov stated that Russia has already determined the targets and the timing of retaliatory strikes. So they're going to be retaliatory strikes. Russian foreign minister stated about it. Yet again, very rare occasion when Lavrov is talking about this stuff, and he is breaking the news. Moscow will not withdraw from their negotiating process, but Russia negotiating positions will be revised in the light of what Lavrov described as the Kiev regime's final shift towards policy of state terrorism. So we're gonna expect some changes in Russian takes on negotiating process, right? Significant change gonna be there, I guess. And well, still, you see, Russian side, Russian officials are focusing blame on the Kiev regime, which is somewhat unfortunate. I'm quite sure Russian intelligence, by the way, Russian military intelligence, has factual information that can link British MI6 with the terrorist activity of Kiev regime. And it is very unfortunate that whenever there is a talks of terrorist activity of Western countries, usually it's always Kiev regime that is blamed, and Moscow never actually points the finger at puppet masters, actual criminals that orchestrating these attacks. First of all, this is British Secret Services, a British ruling class, of course, and their American allies. Of course, France, Germany, they are involved too, but in a lesser scale. But UK is leading this terror campaign, and the American side is, of course, on board there. Maybe not Trump's administration, maybe. And who knows, Trump possibly, at least theoretically speaking, possibly was actually surprised when he heard from Russian president about these attacks. But clearly CIA was on board. Clearly CIA was on board. There is no way MI6 would pull this attack on Russian president off without CIA's involvement. So that's what Russian foreign minister stated in regards to this attack. Then, of course, we receive information about phone conversation between Trump and the Russian president, during the which Putin shared with Trump information that his residency was attacked, and aide of Russian president Ushakov stated that Trump was shocked to hear about this attack. Now, was he actually shocked? Was he uninformed, or he is just messing around? It's anybody's guess, by the way. Obviously, we cannot trust Trump or anyone else, by the way, from any of the Western regimes, right? Trust is not there. We cannot afford to trust them. But theoretically speaking, once again, it is a possibility that maybe CIA is acting on its own now, under their own agenda, under their orders, let's say, from globalists that probably infiltrated CIA big time. And even Tulsi Gabbard, by the way, head of American intelligence community, said that U.S. intelligence institutions are infiltrated, right? So this is factual. Level of and scale of infiltration, that's a different question, but it's definitely factual that there is a certain forces that influencing U.S. intelligence, outside forces. And also, obviously, there is Democrats that are open allies of the globalists, right? And the deep state. So it's a big mess in US. So it is a possibility that Trump actually was not informed about these attacks. He was actually shocked, or maybe he is just playing, who knows. Anyways, let me give you some details from the statements of Ushakov. So US President Donald Trump was shocked by the Ukrainian attack on the state residence of the President Vladimir Putin, stating he did not foresee such crazy actions, according to Kremlin's foreign policy aide Yuri Ushakov. The presidential advisor made the remarks to Russian media after a call between Putin and Trump on Monday. Shortly before the conversation became known to the public, Moscow said that the Ukrainian military targeted Putin's state residence in Novgorod region with more than 90 kamikaze drones. And here, by the way, media is getting confused and there is confusing reports. As far as I can tell, there was 91 or something like that drones that were intercepted by Russian forces at that night, right? Over the number of regions. From these 91 drones, 91 or 94, more than 40 was directed towards the Belgorod region, and the 19 drones, from what I read on a number of other media outlets, 19 was targeting Putin's residency. But maybe those media outlets that I am relying on also get confused, right? And maybe actually there was a 90 drones that was targeting Putin's residency itself. In any case, according to reports, all drones were intercepted, but nevertheless, fact itself is, of course, very serious escalation, right? Russian side made it clear that such reckless actions would certainly not go unanswered, Ushakov stated. US president, according to Putin, was shocked by this news and expressed outrage, stating that he could not have imagined such crazy actions on the part of Kiev. Okay, yet again, maybe Trump was honest and he didn't knew about it, or maybe he was not. But the timing, by the way, is quite interesting. These drones were launched towards Putin's residency, either during this meeting that Trump had with Zelensky or straight after. It's approximately same time frame, right? The Russian leader has reaffirmed Moscow's readiness to engage with Washington in seeking lasting peace in Ukraine. At the same time, the attack on Putin's residence and the Kiev state terrorism cannot go unanswered, and Moscow will shift its position on multiple issues, Ushakov said. Given the current situation, Russia's position on a number of previously reached agreements and pending solutions will be revived. This was stated very clearly, and Americans should take this with due understanding, he stressed. Ukraine's so-called leader, by the way, Vladimir Zelensky, however, has strongly denied the attack on Putin's state residence, and Zelensky stated that this is fake news, false information, which is, no one is taking Zelensky seriously. Obviously, many countries worldwide have intelligence services, including satellite intelligence, and they know perfectly well, US, for example, right? India, China, they know perfectly well where Russian air defense systems were active, and they can determine if residency was attacked or not. Quite a number of countries have satellites over the Russian territory constantly, and are monitoring Russian territory, as it is the case in terms of US, for example. There is a number of Russian satellites that constantly monitoring US, right? Number of satellites from other countries. That's how world works, right? And obviously, no one takes Zelensky's statement seriously that there was no attack. But what else he gonna say? Probably they had prepared their statements in case they succeed in assassination of Russian president, but they failed, and now they have to backtrack everything, right? They have to go in complete denial. Although world's reactions is already clear, as I said, from India on global south to UAE in the Middle East, and Brazil in Latin America, and our friends in Africa, by the way, South Africa and other countries, they already made very strong statements condemning this state terrorism on behalf of Kiev regime. And obviously, as I already said, it's not just Kiev regime, but it's Kiev regime's NATO backers, first of all, UK, that was behind this attack. Also, of course, it was not just the Russian foreign minister, not just aide of Russian President Ushakov, but other high-ranking officials here in Russia also made quite strong statements. And for example, Dmitry Medvedev, former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, stated that, and this is quote, by the way, the stinking Kiev bastard is trying to derail the settlement of the conflict. He wants war. Well, now at least he'll have to stay in hiding for the rest of his worthless life. Quite strong words from Dmitry Medvedev, which can be interpreted as a direct message that Zelensky is now legit target for Russian militaries. Maybe, that's how I read this statement. Why would otherwise Medvedev said that Zelensky has to hide now? Only logical explanation is that, Russia probably sees Zelensky as a legit target, and probably many others from Kiev regime might be the case. And on this matter of Russian possible response, also official spokesperson of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, stated that Russia's response to failed Ukrainian drone attack on President Vladimir Putin's state residence will not be diplomatic. Foreign Minister, Zakharova said, so there will be a response and not a diplomatic one. But it is anybody's guess, by the way, what Moscow gonna do about it. There is quite a number of potential scenarios that can play out. For example, Areshniks might be deployed by Russian forces. And on the topic of Oreshnik, we have this morning reports that these Oreshnik missile systems have already taken up combat duties in Belarus. And on my Telegram channel, dear friends, I shared a video, I believe, of movement of this column in which was described as a deployment of Oreshnik on a combat duty during their completion of the military preparations of the change of duty shifts. Flags were raised, by the way, of Russia, Belarus. As you know, Russia and Belarus are, we have a confederation, basically. We have a United States, right? Although both are maintaining their sovereignty. So specialists of the combat launch, communications, protection, and the power supply units, as well as their mechanics, drivers of the missile complex units, underwent retraining on the modern training and their educational facilities before taking up a combat duty. So Oreshniks are on the duty in Belarus, and Oreshniks are on duty in Russia too. And yet again, maybe Russia will deploy Oreshniks to strike back on this terrorist, on the leadership of this terrorist entity that Kiev regime is, right? But question I have, okay, even if Russia strikes back on Kiev-controlled territory, what impact that will have on the globalists, on the Western ruling class, on the British ruling class in particular? Will they care? Because they would not feel pain, right? They would not feel pain. And as I said many times before, by the way, I'm afraid with the constant restraint of the Kremlin, we actually invited upon ourselves, this accelerating terror campaign that is launched by NATO against Russia. And as long as Western ruling class can conduct these terrorist attacks on Russian Federation with impunity, they're not going to stop. No matter how many times Russia will retaliate on the Kiev-controlled territory. Western ruling class has to feel pain about it. Otherwise, they would not stop. It's just, it's just objective reality. Am I correct? But nevertheless, of course, everybody is asking question how Moscow will retaliate. I don't know. Could be Oreshniks. I don't even believe, by the way, that Moscow will retaliate on the leadership of this Western-backed terrorist regime in Kiev. I don't believe that there will be retaliation on either Zelensky personally or Budanov, terrorist that is leading main intelligence directorate, or on the leadership of their so-called defense ministry or SBU, another secret service. I don't think they're going to be retaliation against the leadership of this terrorist regime in Kiev. Yes, statements were made by high-ranking Russian officials that we're going to retaliate and do this and that, but yeah, we have heard these kind of statements how many times before? Like plenty. So yeah, probably there will be some strikes, drone strikes, some missile strikes on some military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime, as it happens on regular basis, and that's about it, right? That's what I think. Anyways, by the way, it is also interesting what Washington will do. What Washington will do if Trump was actually not informed about these attacks on the Russian president. because White House and these groups that are behind Trump's administration probably realizing that this attack, London basically attacked not just Putin, but attacked Washington too, attacked American ruling class that is focused on America more, right? And they might retaliate, actually. Washington might retaliate on Zelensky, and this retaliation might be complete destruction of Zelensky's inner circle. And process is already underway, isn't it? Process is already underway. And for example, Nabu, by the way, US controlled, mainly US controlled Nabu and SAP, mainly US controlled anti-corruption institutions on the Q-controlled territory, went after 5 persons, 5 MPs that are in Ukraine, that are from Zelensky's inner circle. And these MPs are Yuri Kisel, Shefir, Yuri Kisel, Yevgen Pivovarov, Mikhail Labar, Igor Nihulevsky, and Olga Savchenko. These people are allegedly close allies of Zelensky and Shefir, and they are under investigation now. And it is very much possible that Nabu will publish some additional videos now, some additional audios, in which we will hear Zelensky himself being personally engaged in the corruption, issuing orders about stealing assets from here and there, right? US will retaliate on Zelensky. I have some doubts that Moscow will, but Washington has different approaches, different attitude, different history of its relationships with its puppets, right? And Washington might actually retaliate on Zelensky. We will see. We will see. Meanwhile, as you know, dear friends, London globalists that are kind of afraid that due to US pressure or pressure from White House, Zelensky might cave in to Washington. London began spreading rumors that Zaluzhny, Ukraine's so-called ambassador into UK, is planning to resign and to go back to Kiev. And this rumor spread because to basically send a message to Zelensky and his team that if you cave into Washington, we will take you out. We will send Zaluzhny, and you're gonna be coup d'etat, and you are done. That's the message of London, right? And maybe that's exactly what is going to happen. Maybe that's exactly what is going to happen. Although Zaluzhny's team made remarks in regards to these rumors and said that Zaluzhny has no plans, at least yet, to resign from position of ambassador, right? And he has no plans to go back to Kiev for now, because he is on his duty as an ambassador. But yet again, these are all definitely part of a bigger game, and seems like globalists, by the way, are on full-fledged offensive against Trump's administration, against Trump and Trump's administration, which means they are on full offensive against groups of special interests that are behind Trump, right? Because we all understand that Trump is not acting alone. There is certain groups of special interests, powerful groups on the scale of US, on the scale of world also, I would argue, that are experiencing full-fledged assault from the globalists, which means, by the way, that globalists will use whatever assets they have in the US, and they might try to either remove Trump from office through impeachment process, and they have a lot of allies, by the way, in U.S. Congress, in the Senate and the House, right? Democrats, and there are plenty of Republicans. We should remember that Lindsey Graham, by the way, was one of the first who went after Trump, isn't it? After January 6th. That snake, by the way, is what that snake is, and all the others there. So we might actually see soon attempt of impeaching Trump, some other activities against Trump, and if it will not work, who knows, globalists might actually try to assassinate him again. Right? Globalists tried to kill him a couple of times, didn't work out. Right? Once they barely miss, by the way, barely miss, right? It was not even a miss, by the way. They almost take Trump's ear out, isn't it? But well, this time around, then they're gonna be on top of the game. I guess they will come up with such an operation that will guarantee that Trump is neutralized, right? And that's what globalists are, by the way. That's what British ruling class is, and their allies, right? So U.S. Secret Service should be careful, and prepared, because there is a war now that is going on, not just between globalists and Russia, but also between globalists and certain powerful groups of interests that are at least partially in charge in U.S. right now. So some serious stuff is happening there, Meanwhile, on the line of contact, Russian armed forces liberated their Dibrova settlement on Slavyansk direction. Progress of special military operation continues, by the way, and as I said many times before, my personal understanding is that most likely once this conflict will end, and it will end at some point, isn't it? There's going to be no more Ukraine on the political map. Historical Russian territory will come back to Russia. That's it, right? From Kharkov to Odessa, Kiev, Sumy, Chernigov, everything, by the way, with the exception of western parts of Ukraine that used to be part of Poland, Hungary, and Romania in relatively recent history, let's say, right? So that's what's going to happen, right? Also interesting news, I think, that Dmitry Polyansky has been appointed Russia's permanent representative to OSCE in Vienna, Austria. So Russian President Vladimir Putin has appointed Dmitry Polyansky as Russia's permanent representative to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. The corresponding decree was published on their official legal information portal, and of course you are familiar with Polyansky, dear friends. He was serving in UN as a deputy of the Russian permanent representative, and his transfer to OSCE might be and he is a tough guy, right? He's a tough diplomat, by the way, and his transfer to OSCE might be indicator that Moscow maybe is preparing to to talk to European regimes with a different language now and different attitude, maybe, right? Moscow stance gonna become much more tougher than before. Maybe that's what should we expect, because Polyansky is a tough diplomat, by the way. He's a tough guy, right? So that's my understanding of the situation. So good luck to him. He's a high level professional, and I have no doubts he will do job greatly there. And the Russian position will be heard, right? Russian position will be heard better, in a better ways. Also, dear friends, Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, was in US. Earlier, I reported that rumors were circulating that during this visit, Netanyahu will try to persuade Trump to agree on another attacks on Iran. And this time around, Netanyahu is using different approach because Trump said on numerous occasions that U.S. attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities basically disable the Iranian nuclear program. Well, to avoid confrontation, rhetorical at least, confrontation or with the or stylistical confrontation with the Trump, Netanyahu is using different approach now. He's focusing on Iran's missile program, and he's pushing now narrative that Iran should not be able to have missile programs because of this and because of that, which is nonsense, by the way. At one point, if this continues this way, Israel will say Iran has water. We cannot allow this to happen. I mean, what's going on here, right? What nonsense? What kind of nonsense is this? But I said many times before, by the way, there are certain groups in the West, globalists, neocons, Zionists, that want regional war in the Middle East. They want regional war in the Middle East, right? They want shut down navigation in Persian Gulf and cut off China, global South generally, from Middle Eastern energy sources, right? If Zionists want this regional war to weaken everybody, right, and to maintain dominance, neocons and their globalists are targeting basically emerging multipolar world, and their main driving force, their major economy, which is China. And their plans are going further than cutting off China from the Middle East, by the way. They want their Chinese dependence on Russia to increase towards the critical, absolutely critical strategic levels. And then I believe plans of the strategy of the Western ruling class is to create some tensions at that point between Russia and China, and force China to take some hostile actions, including in military ways, to secure closest energy fields. And closest energy fields on the land, by the way, for China is Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Russia, right? Final goal of Western ruling class is to provoke military hostilities between China and Russia. That's what they want, by the way, right? They want to destroy China and Russia, and they will be happy if they will provoke war, and China and Russia will destroy each other. And that's why Moscow and Beijing understand this stuff, by the way, of course, and that's why both capitals are actively engaged in diplomacy to make sure that this hostile, this evil force that Western ruling class is, they're not going to succeed in provoking regional war in the Middle East. But unfortunately, Western ruling class is pushing for that, pushing actively, and Netanyahu basically is definitely part of this push, right? And at some point during a brief conversation with the journalist, Trump was asked if he would support Israeli attack on Iran if it will happen, and Trump said yes. Trump reacted on the question with a positive answer, which is crazy, by the way. And Trump went to say that if Iran will have missile systems, U.S. will support Israeli attacker, and if Iran will have if Iran will continue with their nuclear program, then their attack will happen fast or something along these lines, which is crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell is wrong with these people, man, in Washington, but this is too dangerous. This is bad, man. He basically greenlighted Israel for attacking Iran, which is crazy, isn't it? And that's why I said, man, if we actually want peace in the Middle East, a world community, at least outside of the collective West, by the way. Collective West is a different story, but it's only 20% of this world, right? Rest is much bigger. And so at least rest of the world, right, has to get together, right? And somehow we have to go ahead and demilitarize and denazify Israel. Israel, this fascist entity, has to be demilitarized and denazified. As long as this fascist entity exists, by the way, there's going to be no peace in the Middle East. And obviously, of course, if we actually want peace right? And progress of the humanity, progress of developments of the human civilization, we have to neutralize Western ruling class, this evil force. This is true, isn't it? This is so freaking obvious that I don't know, man, how anybody cannot see this, that Western ruling class is an evil force and has to be neutralized, right? It's an existential threat to whole of humanity. So Trump is greenlighting Israeli attack, and well, rumors are that second phase of hostilities against Iran is almost finalized, right? Preparations, and anytime we might see continuation of that 12-day war. Iran, dear friends, received quite significant assistance in past number of months from Russia, from China, I believe, from a number of other friends. And I think Iran will be able to defend itself, for sure. Main thing is that that capitals in the region, right? Main thing is that we cannot allow globalists and Zionists, neocons and whatever allies they have to provoke a war between regional countries. Israel is a separate issue, right? It's not even a Middle Eastern country for me. Geographically, yes, but it's a fascist entity of Europeans, right? European settlers. Majority of Israelis are not Middle Eastern people, by the way. They are Europeans, right? Most of them are from Russia, from Ukraine, from Eastern Europe, right? From Poland, and some of them are from Western Europe, some of them from America. These are European settlers mainly. They are not even Middle Eastern people, right? And some might say, well, 2,000 and 3,000 years ago, there was, story Egypt and Jews left Egypt, went there and create country. Yeah, but what the current Israelis have in common with those original tribes? Nothing, right? Literally nothing, by the way. They just speak the language, Semite language, that's all. I speak English, by the way, but do I have anything in common with am I English, for God's sake? I'm not in English, right? Just because I can speak English, it does not changes who am I? I'm Georgian Ossetian. And those Israelis are freaking European settlers, right? They can speak any freaking language they want, right? Including Semite language, but they still are Europeans, man. Right? Most of them descendants of Khazars, probably. That's all, right? Anyways, by the way, we all know what the hell is going on, what is needed to be done. We have to neutralize fascist Israel. We have to neutralize fascist Western ruling class, right? It's just too obvious. I'm not sure we'll be able to do it, but we have to do it if we want to survive as a humanity, right? That's it. Meanwhile, it is interesting that the Pentagon lost track of billions of US weapons sent to Israel. DoD audit reveals only 44% of 13.4 billion military aid has been tracked since the Gaza war began, leaving roughly 7.5 billion worth of arms unaccounted for. So now you tell me, dear friends, what the hell is going on in the Pentagon? And if they cannot track weapons that they sent to Israel, then can you imagine what is going on in terms of weapons that was sent to the regime? It's like 10 times more weapons, right? Volume of money and weapons that was sent to the regime in past 3-4 years is like 10, 15 times more, man. 20 times more. We are talking about $500 billion, right? Plus that globalists and neocons already wasted their of taxpayers' money, Western taxpayers' money that they already used to prolong this war, right? So you tell me, if Pentagon cannot track weapons that they send to Israel, how Pentagon can track weapons that they send to Kyiv regime, which is most corrupt regime in probably in the world, by the way, definitely in Europe, right? And those weapons, no one should be surprised, by the way, if tomorrow some freaking terrorists will shut down planes in Washington airport or in New York, by the way, with their US Stinger missiles. And no one should be surprised if French nuclear power plants being attacked with their US-made anti-tank guided missiles, right? You think where those weapons went? Some was used by Kyiv regime for sure, and most of it was destroyed by Russian forces, but significant volume was sold on the black market and can be in hands of all sorts of criminal organizations, terrorist organizations, and so on, right? And this is most likely the case, most likely. Anyway, by the way, I just said that Western ruling class plans to provoke regional war in the Middle East, increase tensions between everybody, and they want regional war to be on the sectarian and ethnic lines to prolong that war as much as possible. And unfortunately, we have reports about yet another escalation in the region. So Saudi-led coalition, by the way, Saudi-led coalition in Yemen carried out an airstrike against foreign military supporter, as they said, in the Yemeni port of Mukalla, and announced military operations in the eastern province of Hadramaut. This was reported by the Saudi state news agency. According to coalition, the target was a military cargo delivered from UAE, by the way, for Yemeni separatists, and these are not the Houthis, by the way. In Yemen, there is a separatist movement on the north of Yemen, and those movements were supported by UAE. And when I read this information, first thing that come to my mind was, this is clearly escalation between Riyadh and Abu Dhabi, isn't it? This is clearly escalation between Saudi Arabia and UAE, which is not good, by the way. I just said that Western ruling class wants to provoke a regional war, right? And they will try everything. They will try everything. They will use their assets to provoke confrontation between everybody there. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, by the way, Iran, obviously, and there are some others. And it is going to be very hard, man, very hard work to do. But Moscow and Beijing, New Delhi, by the way, they have to try as much as they can to persuade capitals of the Middle Eastern countries to to never escalate. Let's say to be very cautious. To be very cautious, because they are certain, and they need to be, if it's necessary, explanations has to be given to them, right, with their intelligence information included and their everything else, that there is a clear intent on part of Western ruling class to provoke regional war, and you don't want that, because all of you are gonna lose, right? And Western ruling class is gonna win. Do you want this? So hopefully, Moscow already explained this to Middle Eastern, these Gulf states, for example. Hopefully China did the same, right? And India, because they have to be very cautious, man. What the hell is going on? Saudi Arabia now bombing some either UAE militaries or their assets that are linked to UAE. What the hell, man, right? And as a response, by the way, Yemeni authorities that are recognized, Yemeni authorities basically have declared a state of emergency throughout the republic for a period of 90 days. The head of the Yemeni Presidential Council decided, and this is, by the way, not the Houthis, but there is two governments, isn't it, in Yemen? There is on the southern side, it's a Houthi-controlled territory. On the north, it's a regime that is supported by Saudi Arabia, for example, and is being internationally recognized, I believe. So the head of the Yemeni Presidential Council decided to terminate the defense agreement with the UAE. Yemeni authorities also demanded the withdrawal of all UAE forces from the Republic's territory within the 24 hours. So this is a big deal. This is clearly a big deal, by the way. And I mean, let's hope we will not see no further escalation, either in Yemen or between Saudi Arabia and UAE, because we don't want that, man. We don't want no freaking wars anywhere, right? Including in the Middle East. Enough destruction, man, enough. And that's why you see, that's why I'm saying Western ruling class is an evil force. And their allies, by the way, they are evil force and have to be neutralized. Otherwise, they will not stop. They cannot. They would not become decent humans ever. Impossible. So either we will neutralize them or they will make our life on Earth a freaking hell. They will transform Earth into freaking hell, man. And they're clearly trying hard on this path, isn't it? RIA Novosti is also reporting that CIA struck a facility on the coast of Venezuela. So one might argue somewhat, ground attacks, at least partially has begun, ground attacks of US against Venezuela. So the US Central Intelligence Agency carried out drone strikes on a pier on the coast of Venezuela. CNN reported, initially citing sources. According to these sources, this occurred earlier in December, but details had not been previously reported. The attacks targeted facility that the US government believes was used by their Aragua gang to store drugs and load them into ships for further transportation. No one was on the dock at the time of incident, so there were no casualties, allegedly. And yes, I don't know, man. If Trump and his inner circle, if these people, man, actually want good for American people, for US, they should withdraw, man. They should withdraw from Venezuela. They should stay away from Venezuela and the Cuba, and they should focus on US until it's not too late, man. If they will go ahead with their attack on Venezuela, that will only fast track potential complete downfall of US. It's going to be a fatal mistake on the part of Washington. So I don't know. Maybe some sane people will advise those that are pulling the strings in Washington to back down, because this is too freaking bad, dangerous. First of all, for US itself, not just for countries that US plans to attack in order to reconquer the territories and the resources, but US might not survive these policies. Also, dear friends, and by the way, escalation with Venezuela is clearly a globalist idea. This is globalists pushing US towards escalation with Venezuela. This is allies of globalists, neocons, by the way. American neocons are pushing for this escalation. And you see Democrats, by the way. Do Democrats that are globalist allies are saying anything in support of the escalation? No, man. Maybe here and there are some statements, right, for public, but generally speaking, they are all on the board, right? And this is a globalists and their allies, their American allies, pushing US once again, using US as a tool once again, right, to achieve their geopolitical goals. And by the way, Venezuela is also part of their plan of bigger strategical plan of fighting Russia and China, which includes regional war in the Middle East to be provoked, right? And they want Venezuela and a number of other countries to pump as much oil as they possibly can, so that when they will provoke in their plans regional war in the Middle East and cut off navigation in the Persian Gulf, they would not suffer as much with their absence of Middle Eastern oil. others will. They just want to compensate. You see what is going on? They just want to compensate potential losses of oil imports or energy imports from the Middle East in a period when they will provoke the war there, right? And if Trump and his administration, if groups of special interests that are behind them, if there is any, if they are a little bit America first, they should think what is going on. They should realize that they've been freaking used, man. They've been used by very same globalists that are attacking Trump right now and America First movement. And these are assault, these strikes on the residency of the Russian president was clearly attack not just on a Russian president, but also it was massive insult to US, isn't it? What the hell, you know? Trump is engaged in so-called peace talks, and at the very same time, this terrorist attack is happening. What the hell, man? This is such an insult to the US, right? From the globalists, but yeah. Couple of more news, dear friends. Bulgaria on 1st of January will enter Eurozone. What a mistake! What a mistake that Bulgaria is committing. But yet again, Sofia is not really, Bulgarian political class, by the way, is corrupt as hell, right? They are all puppets of, or most of them are puppets of globalists, and they have no care about either people of Bulgaria or Republic itself. They sold out everyone and everything, right? And they're gonna put Bulgaria now in the Eurozone, which means Bulgaria will lose whatever remnants they still have of sovereignty. If they don't control their money, they don't control nothing. And from 1st of January, they're not going to control nothing. What the idiots, by the way. What the idiots, those so-called elites in Bulgaria are. Scum of humanity, man. How Bulgarian people are allowing this to happen, I have no freaking idea, man. What people are doing. And I just mentioned currency, euro, isn't it? Bulgaria gonna become a part of Eurozone, which will devastate Bulgaria. It's a fatal mistake on their part, but anyways, it's their business. If they want to suffer more, okay, it's their choice. Maybe they are masochists or something, right? Maybe they enjoy suffering. Who knows, man? They need psychiatrists in that case, and yeah. They should ask for help. But when it comes to currencies, by the way, Syria, new regime in Syria unveiled their new banknotes of their currency. And you see on your screen right now how some of those banknotes look like. And maybe you will be surprised to hear that these new banknotes, as all banknotes, by the way, will be published here in Russia by Russian Goznak. Just to know that, yeah, there are quite a number of countries that are printing their money here in Russia. And maybe somewhat surprisingly, the Moscow decided that one of the ways to demonstrate their openness for cooperation with Moscow is going to be prolongation of the printing of Syrian money in Russia. And okay, that's good. That's good, by the way. Definitely not a harmful decision. So yes, now we know that Syrian money under the new regime in Damascus is continues to be printed there in Russia. Good, by the way. And when it comes to Syria, well, what can I say, by the way? Russia was always very supportive of Syrian people, right? There is a great history of cooperation, right, and assistance, and attitude towards the Syrian people not going to change, right? And one should understand Moscow. I myself are critical and don't like when this new regime, representatives of new regime, are coming to Moscow. But it's not about regimes come and go, right? People stay, and relationships between the people continues, and therefore, obviously Moscow has all every incentive to try to somehow build up a certain level of dialogue with this new regime that is recognized by the rest of the world now almost entirely as a legit regime, right, in Syria. So we might don't like it, but it's just factual, and you cannot ignore facts, right? So in order to be continue cooperation with the Syrian people and be friendly and supportive, of course, Moscow has to cooperate with whenever it's possible with Damascus. I mean, how else? Are you tell me? So, and it is good that Damascus is also taking some steps to demonstrate that yes, they know history, and they want good relationships between their countries, between the peoples to continue. This is very important. And well, this is it for a new segment, dear friends. Hopefully, you did find it interesting. You know what? Let me right now check some media outlets for possible breaking news. For this is TASS News Agency. We have, for example, news that, according to Peskov, press spokesman of the Russian president, and this is latest, by the way, this news was published 12:27, half an hour ago. Russia will tighten its negotiating positions on Ukraine. Something similar was already said by some other high-ranking officials. Russian armed forces liberated Lukyanovsk in the Zaporozhye region settlement. Also, breaking news that was published during this stream, by the way. Let me check. For example, on RIA Novosti, if there is any breaking news here. Goal of Kiev attacks on Putin's residence was to disrupt negotiations, Peskov said on that. Putin congratulated Trump and several European leaders on the new year. Okay. Defense Ministry showed their Oreshnik for the first time. And you know what, dear friends, I can show you this video. Maybe you are not subscribed to my Telegram channel, or the Twitter X page, so you cannot see that video there. Subscribe if you can. But I believe I have this video still on my desktop. No, okay. I will make a copy right now in a sec. And I will show you, by the way. And I don't know. I see this video, and which vehicle. There is a certain one vehicle that you will see now that could be one that carries a Oreshnik missile, but I was expecting a launcher to be more like a Yars vehicle, but I did not see that. So this is ceremony when in Belarus, by the way, when and that's it. And look, I guess this vehicle is carrying second one, not the first, but second one. I guess this is the Oreshnik, right? So I was expecting that it will look like Yars you have seen, isn't it? Russian Yars intercontinental missiles. Some of them are demonstrated during the parades, for example, on Red Square. But no, this Oreshnik is definitely like, if this vehicle carries Oreshnik, then it surprised me, because I was expecting something different. So this is when Oreshnik missile system went on duty in Belarus, by the way, right? So yeah, that's the video. As I said, you can see this video, full video, on my Telegram and Twitter X pages. And when it comes to defense ministry, they published the same video, isn't it? Yes, they published the same video. So that vehicle that I pointed out is a Oreshnik carrier, I guess. Okay, dear friends, let me check right now. Rumble. Maybe there was some super chat, so I will respond. And there was, by the way, there was. Thanks, God, I checked it. So I will highlight, dear friends, right now this super chats. There is a 2 super chat, both from Blorp. Thank you very much, Blorp, for your super chat and attention and support. I will highlight immediately this super chat. There was no messages, no or questions from Boosty, and I will check right now if Anna sent me. So Anna did not send me also no screenshots. So either she's too busy and had no time to check her PayPal, or maybe there was no questions or nothing through PayPal in terms of support. But okay, dear friends, let me now react on a super chat from a Blorp. So this is first comment. Thank you very much, Blorp, once again for being very supportive. Truly grateful for your attention and help to this project, for your activity. And Blorp commented, incumbent power in the West is eroding in the front of our eyes, and how anyone can disagree with you, Blorp? How anyone can disagree with you? I mean, you are 100% correct, I think, right? It is what it is. And this is extreme danger, isn't it? And there was a second, and thank you very much, Blorp, for your donation through this super chat. There was a first super chat was with $5 donation, and this is a second super chat from Blorp. Once again, thank you, Blorp. And this is a $10 donation also from Blorp. Too many wars, stop these stupid wars. And yet again, who can disagree with you? Who can disagree with you, man? I mean, it's this world is, if this world needs anything, is peace, right? If this world needs anything, is peace. That's it, man. And I don't know if we will get there when there is no wars in this world in our lifetime, but let's hope our kids will live in a better world. Let's hope that will happen, right? Thank you very much, Blorp, once again, for your comments, for your activity, for your supporter, donation, super chats. And dear friends, this is it. This is it for now. Hopefully you like the news segment itself, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary, share video with your friends, and well, see you tomorrow. When it comes to my schedule, dear friends, I don't plan to have any day offs. I might launch live streams in different times, but for now I don't plan to have any day offs. So if nothing changes, I will be online on daily basis and will try my best to give you an informative program. So this is it for now. In case you're not gonna be able to watch my video tomorrow, I wish you a great new year, and I wish great new year to everybody. By the way, no matter if you're gonna watch tomorrow's live stream or not. Happy New Year, everybody, and have a great day today. Bye for now.